Nigeria's aviation industry, which got a rude shock at the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, has been put on alert for resumption of activities following the expected relaxation of restrictions put in place to contain its spread. Pursuant to this, the federal government has issued a series of conditions that must be met by airline operators before they're allowed to open shop again. Some of these conditions include making sure all aircraft is serviced up to date, that all operators of commercial flights must abide by the safety guidelines for containing the virus, as well as up-to-date training of air and ground personnel. But how ready are the airports themselves? What is being done to ensure that these guidelines are implemented to the letter? For a wider conversation about this, we're now being joined from Arise Abuja studio by Captain Rabiu Yadudu, Managing Director, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. Welcome to the program, Captain. Good morning.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, good morning.
I'm with you. Thank you.
Oh, good morning. Well, the sound is better this morning, and we have excellent connection. Now, as I had asked you yesterday, the domestic flights in Nigeria are expected to resume by June 21, following an announcement to that effect by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. Is that June 21 setting? Are the airlines prepared? And is FAAN, which is the manager of the airports, ready? And then, of course, why were the flights reduced to just 5 airports instead of all airports as we were originally told?
Thank you very much. And to the first question, I believe our position is that FAAN, in particular, will be in operation right from the beginning of this COVID pandemic. The airports have been open. We've been receiving and servicing all flights, especially the humanitarian and other critical flights during this pandemic. The only difference for FAAN and our staff is that now we shall be open to our normal scheduled flight operations. Despite this, our system, our processes, all is in place. The only differences are that we are now busy trying to add more layers of safety and security to protect, or rather further protect our stakeholders. This is in terms of a protocol that we developed recently. We gave the protocols to the stakeholders to study and provide their inputs. These protocols have been brought back to us, and we're working on them to ensure that we receive the ministerial approval to implement. Now, within these protocols, we have a lot of steps primarily geared to enhance the safety of our operations and the stakeholders. In particular, if you look at it critically, it's more like another re-emphasization of the protocols earlier given to us or passed down to us through the PTF and the NCDC. This is in areas of physical distancing, the use of face masks, frequent sanitization, keeping your distances. So in that sense, our protocols are merely emphasizing the same set of procedures, and in some areas at a higher level of efficiency. Namely, when we resume operations, eventually our procedures involve that all stakeholders, passengers included, must come to the airports with their face masks on. We expect passengers to come with their face masks so that there will be no need for anyone to start buying face masks at the airports, because it is now our expectation that it's like a national policy. Anywhere you are, whether you are not coming to the airport or coming to the airport, you should have your face mask on. So it doesn't change anything when you're coming to the airport, you should have your face mask on. When you have it on, you will be allowed access into the terminal. That is, of course, after sighting your face mask on, your temperature will be screened by the appropriate authorities, and then you will get inside. When you get inside the terminals, we have already arranged and provided for markings on the ground, on the floor, to guide your movement and where you stand in any queue that you might be required to stand in. The counters where you will have agents of the airlines or handlers attending to you will have transparent barriers that will also add further protection to the stakeholders. After the barriers, whichever way you go, whether it's through the screen or up to the departure lounges, you will also be properly guided with our proper markings on the seating arrangements, whereby you'll be made to see where you can sit, where you are not expected to see, and our staff will be there to guide you and monitor, and if necessary, enforce what is needed to ensure that our arrangements are not violated. at the point of boarding, we are also working to see that all the airlines, just like previously before the lockdown, airlines provide sanitization that is required on our hands before you board. After that, generally within the airlines now, we are working with the airlines and engaging with them to see what they are doing to complement what we are doing. This is in a nutshell what we are doing. And we've already passed our protocols to the airlines. They spent the last 2 weeks going through them. And the feedback we have right now is that it's looking very positive to them. In addition to this, the Civil Aviation Authority has also passed down a document that is going to be used by all stakeholders, including the aerodrome operators, which is FAAN, and others, to see how we can coordinate our effort and our plan to also ensure that there are no leakages, no drawbacks in our planning. So the advisory circulars are with us, and FAAN has gone very far in implementing. All the other stakeholders are doing the same, and even yesterday, we had a meeting with the Civil Aviation Authority, with the aerodrome operators, not only FAAN, even the private airport operators, towards that effect. And I believe, come the time, we shall be very much ready to resume normal operations. Like I say, we're already in operation now. Our airports are busy handling emergency and other necessary flights right from the beginning up to this moment.
That sounds very reassuring, Captain. But I'd like your take on something slightly different, a personnel issue. Labor unions all over the aviation industry have written to President Muhammadu Buhari threatening strike action on June 15th over delays in payments and salary cuts. FAAN was commended for being able to pay salaries in full for the month of May, but according to the letter, it will take a miracle for those salaries to be paid in June. Now, is a resolution possible by June 15th?
I believe it is possible, and also we do not know the details of what the unions are planning, but I know we've been working very well with them. During our interaction with them, we made it clear what our position is. They made us very clear of their position, and we worked together. In the last few months, we've been making a lot of progress. Even now, despite the letter I'm aware that they wrote, we are still working with them to see what we can do within our own engagements to make progress.
Well, I guess that many Nigerians, travelers also will be interested in international flights. How soon do you think that our airports will be open for international flights?
Well, that is also something we are working on, but the reality is this is not all up to aviation or FAAN alone. This is a national affair, a national emergency. So we are working with the PTF, which is the general body overseeing this and providing all the guidance that is needed. The airports are going to be ready, but the important thing is we are requested that we would prefer to commence operations with the domestics only so that we can get our hang on it. When we start the operations, start delivering service to our own citizens within the nation, then after some time, we'll be ready, after having assessed what is going on, to commence the international operations.
What are your strategies, short-term and long-term, to recover from the devastating effects of the COVID-19 pandemic to the airports and to your industry in general?
Clearly, the aviation industry has been very severely hit by this pandemic, and our most important strategy is that for us as an airport operator, most airports within our region have a majority of our revenue being generated on the aeronautical side. So this pandemic has made it very imperative for us to more aggressively look at the non-aeronautical revenue generation. We've been looking at that in the last 3 to 4 years because we have been aware that it is deficient. But this pandemic made it very clear to us, and as of January last year, we already started working to improve our non-aeronautical revenue. Secondly, also our own collection system has also been reassessed, and we are developing very robust ways and means of ensuring that our collections are much more improved.
I have a follow-up to that. Regarding
so primarily, it is on the...
Sorry, regarding your non-aeronautical revenue, we're talking about like the shops and the restaurants and the airports. Is that correct? Are you planning to expand?
That is an example, yes.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, imagining myself as a passenger walking through the airport with a face mask, what is going to be done to make the customers more relaxed and less anxious and actually sit and use those restaurants and go into those shops?
I believe at the beginning of the resumption of the operations, we just have to bear with some sort of inconvenience. I'm very sure nobody wants or expects to be wearing masks for the next few or many months. So it's an inconvenience. It's a necessary inconvenience to safeguard our health. So I call on all our stakeholders to please bear with us and bear with the nation in seeing that we come to the end of this pandemic safely and successfully. And to do that, we need to comply with all the recommendations. And these recommendations include wearing of the mask, physical distancing, and the sanitization that is very frequently needed.
Well, Captain, just before we go, in the second week of May, an airline, a British carrier, was impounded in Nigeria because it was licensed for humanitarian services, but we were told that it was engaging in commercial flights. What's the update on that? Where are we with that particular case?
Well, the aircraft was impounded, and because the aviation industry, we already have our own regulations. It's all a system of procedures and processes, and when you impound an aircraft with such violations clearly having been committed, the next is the CAA engaged the airlines, and I understand they paid their fines, and the airline was released, I believe, last week. So we do not know what happened after that, but they were fined and they paid.
Well, thank you very much, Captain Yadudu. Thank you very much indeed.